The supply shuttle was burning when 8-year-old Lily Reeves decided to do something stupid. Everyone else on the research station was running toward the crash site with fire extinguishers and medical kits. Nobody was watching the restricted zone. Nobody was watching Lily. She slipped through the emergency door while the alarm screamed overhead. The adults always said the restricted zone was dangerous, full of specimens collected from 100 different worlds. Lily did not care about danger. She cared about the strange sounds coming from the tall grass beyond the fence, sounds that did not belong to any creature in the station database. The Galactic Union Research Station sat on a frontier world called Harvest 7, monitoring ecosystems and cataloging wildlife. Lily's mother was a xenobiologist. Her father ran security. They had brought Lily here because they had no other choice, and they spent most of their time telling her to stay inside where it was safe. Lily found safety boring. She pushed through the grass until she found the source of the sounds. A small creature, no bigger than a house cat, was cornered against a fallen log. Its fur was gray and black and white, thick and bristly. Its eyes were small and filled with absolute rage. Blood dripped from a wound on its side, but the creature was not cowering. It was hissing at the 3 aliens that surrounded it. Lily recognized the aliens. They were Kreth, young hunters from the predator species that had an embassy on the station. They stood 7 feet tall with scaled skin and claws like knives. They were laughing at the small creature, poking it with sticks, waiting for it to run so they could chase it. The creature did not run. It attacked. That IT launched itself at the nearest Kreth and sank its teeth into the alien's leg. The Kreth screamed and tried to shake it off, but the creature held on with a grip that seemed impossible for something so small. The other 2 Kreth moved to help their friend, raising their claws to strike. Lily picked up a rock and threw it as hard as she could. It hit one of the Kreth in the face. They all turned to look at her, and their eyes went wide with confusion. "Leave it alone," Lily said. The largest Kreth laughed. "A human child? Go back to your parents, little prey. This does not concern you." I said, "Leave it alone." The Kreth took a step toward her, probably planning to scare her away. The small creature let go of the first Kreth's leg and turned its attention to the new threat. It charged the largest Kreth with no hesitation, no fear, no concern for the fact that the alien was 50 times its size. That IT went for the face. The Kreth screamed and stumbled backward, clawing at the creature that had attached itself to his head. His friends tried to help, but every time they reached for the creature, it bit them too. Finally, bleeding from a dozen wounds, the 3 young hunters fled into the grass. The creature dropped to the ground and looked at Lily. It hissed at her once, then sat down and began licking its wound. Lily sat down too, a safe distance away. "You're really angry," she said. "I like that." The creature watched her with suspicious eyes. Lily did not move. She had learned patience from watching her mother work with dangerous specimens. She knew that trust took time. After an hour, the creature let her come closer. After 2 hours, it let her touch its bristly fur. After 3 hours, when her parents finally found her in a panic, the creature was sleeping in her lap. "Lily, what is that thing?" her mother demanded. "He's from Earth," Lily said. She had looked it up on her tablet while the creature slept. "He's called a honey badger. His name is Biscuit." Her father stared at the creature. He had served in the military before taking this post. He had seen a lot of dangerous things. "Lily, honey badgers are one of the most aggressive animals on Earth. They attack lions. They fight venomous snakes. They never, ever back down from a fight." "I know," Lily said. "That's why I like him." The station administrator wanted the creature destroyed. The Kreth ambassador demanded it. But Lily's father, after reviewing the security footage, pointed out that his daughter and the honey badger had acted in self-defense. The Kreth hunters had been in a restricted zone, harassing a specimen that had escaped from a crashed transport. Biscuit stayed. The Rickari ambassador, a tall and elegant predator from a species known for their careful observation of other races, watched the footage 17 times. He watched an 8-year-old human child stand her ground against 3 armed hunters. He watched a creature the size of a house cat drive off predators that outweighed it by hundreds of pounds. But he sent a report to his homeworld that night. The message was short but urgent. The humans raise their young alongside creatures that feel no fear. The child showed no submission response when confronted by superior predators. She did not run. She did not scream. She picked up a weapon and attacked. Further observation is required, but initial assessment suggests that humans may be significantly more dangerous than our previous classifications indicated. Recommend upgrading threat assessment immediately. In her quarters, Lily fell asleep with Biscuit curled at her feet. She did not know that she had just started something that would change the galaxy. She only knew that she had found a friend who understood her perfectly. Neither of them was afraid of anything. 6 months changed everything and nothing. Lily was still small for her age. She still had freckles across her nose and a gap between her front teeth. She still wore her brown hair in messy braids that her mother fixed every morning. But now she carried a backpack everywhere she went, and inside that backpack lived something that made grown aliens nervous. The diplomatic hub station orbited a gas giant at the crossroads of 12 major trade routes. Hundreds of species passed through every day. Ambassadors from across the galaxy maintained offices here, negotiating treaties and trade agreements. Lily's parents had been transferred because her mother's expertise was needed for a joint research project. They had tried to leave Biscuit behind. Biscuit had bitten through 3 containment cages and followed them onto the transport ship. The Venery delegation arrived on a Tuesday. They came from a world where the strong dominated the weak, where hunting was both sport and religion. Their pack structure was built on dominance hierarchies established through violence. When they entered a new territory, their first instinct was to test the local prey species. They had a tradition called the cornering. Young Venery would find a child of another species and trap them in a dead-end corridor. They would circle and growl and bare their teeth. The child would cower and cry and beg. The Venery would let them go eventually, having established their dominance. It was, they believed, a harmless way to teach other species their proper place. 3 young Venery found Lily in a maintenance corridor near the hydroponics bay. She was looking for a quiet place to read her book while Biscuit napped in her backpack. They blocked both exits and moved toward her with their claws extended. "Little human," the largest one growled. "Do you know what happens now?" Lily looked up from her book. "You're blocking the light. You should be afraid. You should beg us to let you pass." "Why would I beg?" Lily asked. She seemed genuinely confused. "I'm not done with my chapter." The Venery exchanged glances. This was not how prey behaved. The small ones always cried. The small ones always trembled. This child was looking at them like they were mildly annoying insects. "Perhaps," the leader said, "you do not understand your situation. We are predators. You are prey. We could tear you apart." "Could you, though?" Lily asked. She closed her book and slipped it into her backpack. Biscuit was already awake. She could feel him vibrating with anticipation. "Because I don't think you could." The Venery lunged. Biscuit was faster. The honey badger exploded from the backpack like a furry missile. He hit the first Venery in the face and took out his left eye before the alien even knew what was happening. The second Venery tried to grab him, and Biscuit severed 2 tendons in his forearm with a single bite. The third Venery froze, unable to process what he was seeing, that a creature the size of a small cat was destroying his hunting partners. Lily watched calmly. She did not scream. She did not run. She stood with her arms crossed and waited for Biscuit to finish working. When all 3 Venery were bleeding on the floor, whimpering and clutching their wounds, she whistled once. Biscuit returned to her side, blood on his muzzle, and climbed back into the backpack. "You should get those looked at," Lily said. "Biscuit doesn't clean his teeth very often." She stepped over them and continued toward the hydroponics bay. She wanted to finish her chapter. Station security found the Venery 20 minutes later. They were still on the floor, too shocked to call for help. The delegation's senior diplomat demanded immediate action. A human child had attacked his people without provocation. This was an act of war. Commander Wu, the station administrator, reviewed the security footage with the Venery diplomat. They watched Lily reading her book. They watched the Venery corner her. They watched her warning them. They watched Biscuit defend her when they attacked first. "Self-defense," Commander Wu said. "Your people initiated contact." The child responded appropriately. Appropriately? She mutilated 3 hunters. She didn't do anything. Her companion did. Earth animals are quite protective of their bonded humans. Perhaps your hunters should have known better than to threaten a child. The Venery diplomat demanded to see the creature that had defeated his hunters. When he saw Biscuit sitting on Lily's shoulder, grooming himself with complete indifference, he felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear that he watched the security footage again that night. Not the attack itself, but the moments before. The child's face when 3 predators cornered her in an enclosed space. There was no fear. There was no submission. There was only mild annoyance at being interrupted. And then, during the attack, she had simply watched. Like she was observing something ordinary. Like violence was a normal part of her day, he sent his report to the Venery homeworld with shaking hands. The humans do not teach their children to be prey. They bond them with creatures that attack without hesitation, without warning, without mercy. The child we tested showed no fear response whatsoever. I believe she has learned something from her companion, something we should all be concerned about. She does not understand that she should be afraid. I suspect most humans do not understand this. We must reconsider our assessment of their species. In her quarters, Lily gave Biscuit a treat for being such a good boy. She had no idea that word was spreading through predator networks across the galaxy. She only knew that nobody would bother her while she was reading anymore. That suited her just fine. By the time Lily turned 10, she had stopped being a curiosity and started being a legend. The story spread through trading posts and military outposts, growing stranger with each telling. A human child who fought predators. A small creature that feared nothing. Most species assumed the stories were exaggerated. Humans were soft. After all, humans were prey. The Thornback Consortium did not believe in legends. They believed in profit, and human children fetched excellent ransoms. Their species had built an empire on kidnapping, extortion, and the exploitation of weaker races. They had taken children from a dozen species, and not once had they encountered serious resistance. That Lily's family had been transferred to a frontier trading post, a rough and lawless place where the Galactic Union's authority was more suggestion than law. The perfect hunting ground for Thornback slavers. 3 of them found her in the market district, examining a stall that sold exotic fruits. She was small and alone and distracted. She was carrying a backpack. They did not know what was in the backpack. They did not think to ask. The first Thornback grabbed her arm. "Come quietly, little one. Your parents will pay well for your return." Lily looked at the clawed hand on her arm. She looked at the 3 armored aliens surrounding her. She did not scream for help. She did not cry. "You should let go of me," she said. The Thornback laughed. "Or what? You'll bite me?" "No, he will." Biscuit came out of the backpack, already attacking. He was bigger now, almost 15 pounds of muscle and fury, and he had learned things over the past 2 years. He knew where the joints were weak. He knew where the blood vessels ran close to the surface. He knew that the bigger the enemy, the more they relied on their size, and the more vulnerable they were to something small and vicious that did not care about size at all. The first Thornback died before he could scream. Biscuit had severed something important in his throat. The second Thornback stumbled backward, trying to draw his weapon, and Lily picked up a broken bottle from a nearby stall. She had been training with her father. She had been studying Biscuit. She had learned that hesitation was death and mercy was a luxury. She stabbed the Thornback in the leg, aiming for the tendon her father had shown her on the anatomical charts. The alien went down. Biscuit finished him while Lily turned to face the third. The third Thornback ran. Station security found Lily standing over 2 bodies with a bloody bottle in her hand and a honey badger on her shoulder. She was breathing hard, but she was not crying. She was not shaking. She looked annoyed that her shopping had been interrupted. The investigation revealed that Lily had been training. Not just self-defense lessons with her father, but hours spent watching Biscuit hunt, studying his movements, learning his philosophy. Attack first. Attack hard. Never stop until the threat is eliminated. Never show fear, because fear is what predators look for. Fear is what tells them you are prey. She had become something new, something that the galaxy had never seen before. The Dreckery warrior arrived 3 weeks later. His species respected strength above all else. They had heard the stories about the small human who killed Thornbacks, and they had sent their finest to investigate. He stood 7 feet tall with muscles like steel cables and tusks that could gore a transport vehicle. He challenged Lily's father to a dominance duel. This was Dreckery custom. The strongest male of a group must answer challenges or forfeit his status. Lily's father was a trained soldier, but he was also human. Against a Dreckery warrior, he would not survive. Lily walked up to the Dreckery before her father could respond. "Leave my family alone," she said. The warrior looked down at her. He could have killed her with one blow. He could have snapped her neck like a twig. But something in her eyes made him pause. "You are a child," he said. "Yes. You are small and weak." "Am I?" Biscuit climbed onto her shoulder. He was hissing softly, the sound he made before he attacked. His eyes were fixed on the Dreckery's throat. He was calculating distances, angles, approach vectors. He was planning murder. The Dreckery saw it. More importantly, he saw that Lily saw it too. She was not afraid of her own companion. She was not trying to calm him down. She was waiting to see what the Dreckery would do, and she was ready to let Biscuit off his leash if the answer was wrong. "You have killed," the warrior said. It was not a question. "Yes. You do not fear death." "No." The Dreckery took a step back. He had never retreated from anything in his life, but he retreated from this small human child with a murder beast on her shoulder. He retreated because he recognized something in her that he had only ever seen in the greatest warriors of his own species. She was not prey pretending to be a predator. She was a predator who happened to be small. He left without another word. He did not challenge her father. He did not challenge anyone. He returned to his ship and sent a message to his home world that would be discussed in Dreckery war councils for generations. Humans are apex predators who have forgotten their nature. Their children remember. The small one with the fearless beast is not unique. She is what humans become when they stop pretending to be civilized. Watch them carefully. They are far more dangerous than we believed. Lily went back to her studies. She had a test tomorrow on xenobiology. Her mother would be disappointed if she did not do well. Biscuit curled up at her feet and slept. He had done good work today. He had protected his human. That was all that mattered. Outside, the galaxy was slowly waking up to a terrible truth. Humans were not prey. They had never been prey. They had just been patient. The planet had no name, only a designation in Galactic Union databases. It was covered in dense forests and shallow seas, rich in resources and ripe for colonization. The survey teams had been working for 3 months, mapping terrain and cataloging species. Then they started disappearing. The Skull did not recognize the Galactic Union. They did not recognize borders or treaties or laws. They recognized only the hunt, and everything that entered their territory was prey. They had killed 17 survey team members in 6 weeks, dragging them into the forest and leaving nothing but blood and screams. Lily was 12 years old when her family was assigned to the protected compound. Her parents were there to study the Skull, to find some way to communicate with a species that refused to communicate. The Union wanted this planet. The Skull wanted everyone dead. Someone had to find a middle ground. Lily had other plans. She left the compound on the 7th night, slipping past the guards while they changed shifts. Biscuit was in her backpack, older now, but no less fierce. His muzzle was gray at the edges, and he moved a little slower than he used to, but his eyes were still sharp and his teeth were still sharp, and his hatred for anything that threatened his human was still infinite. The forest swallowed her within minutes. The trees were twice as tall as anything on Earth, their canopies so thick that no light reached the ground. Lily moved through the darkness with confidence. She had studied the survey maps. She had learned the terrain. She had prepared for this moment. She knew the Skull were watching. She did not care. For 3 days, she walked deeper into their territory. She ate the rations she had packed. She drank from streams that her scanner said were safe. She slept in short bursts, never more than 2 hours, with Biscuit keeping watch. The Skull followed her the entire time. They were curious, she knew. Their hunting parties had destroyed armed soldiers and trained scientists. They had never encountered prey that walked toward them instead of away. They did not know what to make of this small human who moved through their forest like she belonged there. On the 3rd day, They stopped hiding. The hunting party materialized from the shadows like ghosts. 8 skull warriors, each one 8 feet tall, with natural armor plates covering their bodies. Their leader was massive, scarred from 100 battles, with teeth like daggers and eyes that held nothing but hunger. "You are far from your den, little prey," the leader said. His voice was like grinding stones. Lily stopped walking. She did not run. She did not show fear. "I'm not prey." The skull laughed, a horrible sound like breaking bones. "Everything is prey. It is the natural order. You walk, we hunt, you die. That's not how this is going to work." The leader moved closer. He was so large that his shadow covered Lily completely. "You cannot fight us, little one. You cannot run. What else is there? I can hunt you back." Biscuit emerged from the backpack. He was smaller than a single skull tooth, but he planted himself between Lily and the hunting party with the absolute certainty of something that had never once considered retreat. The skull leader studied the small creature. He had heard stories about this beast, passed through the networks of predator species across the galaxy. A creature from Earth that attacked without fear. A creature that had killed Thornbacks and crippled Venery and made Drekri warriors retreat. He had not believed the stories until now. "You bond with this thing," he said. "You let it teach you." "Yes. It does not know fear." "No. Neither do you." Lily smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Fear is a choice. I chose not to make it." The skull leader was silent for a long moment. His hunting party waited, uncertain. They had expected easy prey, a foolish child who had wandered into the killing ground. They had not expected this small human who looked at them like they were the ones being hunted. "What do you want?" the leader finally asked. "I want you to stop killing my people. I want you to talk to the union negotiators. I want you to recognize that this planet is big enough for everyone. And if we refuse..." Lily reached in her backpack and pulled out a datapad. She showed it to the skull leader. It displayed a map of the forest, marked with dozens of red dots. "Those are your hunting camps," she said. "I've been mapping them for 3 days. I know where you sleep. I know where your young are kept. I know which paths you use and which you avoid." The skull leader stared at the map. His hunting party shifted nervously. This child had been tracking them while they tracked her. This child had been gathering intelligence while they thought she was fleeing. "You threaten us?" he growled. "No, I'm offering you a choice. Hunt with me instead of against me. Teach my people how to survive here, and we'll teach you what we know. Or refuse, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure your species regrets it." The silence stretched for an eternity. Then the skull leader did something that shocked his entire hunting party. That he laughed. Not the predatory laugh from before, but something that sounded almost like respect. "You are a hunter," he said. "Small and strange, but a hunter nonetheless. We do not hunt other hunters. Then we have a deal." The leader looked at Biscuit, who was still standing guard, still ready to fight 8 warriors simultaneously if necessary. He looked at Lily, who met his gaze without flinching. "We have a deal." The skull joined the treaty negotiations the next day. When the union representatives asked why they had changed their minds, the hunting leader gave a simple answer. "The small one with the fearless beast came into our forest alone. She tracked us while we tracked her. She threatened our young and our homes and did not blink. Her entire species must be like this. We do not hunt other hunters. We hunt with them." Lily returned to the compound a hero. Her parents were furious and proud in equal measure. Biscuit received extra treats for a month, and the galaxy continued to learn what humans really were. 14 years old was too young to be a diplomat. Everyone said so. The Galactic Union had protocols and training programs and minimum age requirements. But the Vrathi Empire refused to negotiate with anyone they considered prey, and they considered every species prey except one, that the girl who walked with the fearless beast. The Vrathi had been conquering border worlds for 2 decades. They were the largest predator species in known space, averaging 10 feet tall with claws that could tear through starship hulls. Their empire was built on a simple principle: the strong rule, the weak serve. They had never met a species strong enough to challenge them. They had dismissed every diplomatic attempt. Human ambassadors were laughed out of their chambers. Military delegations were killed for sport. The Union was preparing for a war they could not win when the Vrathi made an unexpected offer: trial by combat. One representative from each side. Winner takes all. The Union refused. They would not send a soldier to be slaughtered in a Vrathi arena. The Vrathi took this as proof of human weakness. They began planning their invasion. Lily volunteered. The Union Council was horrified. They could not send a child to fight a Vrathi champion. It was murder. It was madness. It was politically impossible. Lily did not argue with them. She simply walked into the Vrathi embassy and told them she would be humanity's representative. The Vrathi accepted before the Union could object. They wanted to make an example. A human child, torn apart in their arena, broadcast across the galaxy. Proof that humans were nothing more than prey with delusions of grandeur. The arena was a coliseum that seated 1 million spectators. Every Vrathi world watched the broadcast. So did every Union world. So did every trading post and outpost and colony ship. This was the most watched event in galactic history. Lily walked into the arena alone. Biscuit sat on her shoulder, his gray-streaked fur bristling in the artificial wind. She wore no armor. She carried no weapons. The Vrathi champion was named Destroyer of Worlds. He had won 50 arena battles. He had killed representatives from 12 species. He stood 9 feet tall with muscles like twisted steel and claws like curved swords. He looked at Lily and saw meat. "You send a child?" he roared to the crowd. "You send a tiny female with a pet? Is this how humans surrender?" Lily did not respond. She was watching him move, studying his stance, calculating his reach. She had seen videos of his previous fights. She knew how he attacked. She knew his patterns. The horns sounded. The fight began. Destroyer of Worlds charged with all the subtlety of a crashing starship. He expected the small human to freeze, to scream, to die quickly. He did not expect her to move. Lily was not strong. She was not fast, but she was small, and Biscuit had taught her that small was an advantage. Big things could not hit small things that refused to stand still. Big things relied on their size. Big things got frustrated when their size did not matter. She dodged the first strike by centimeters. She dodged the second by less. The champion's claws carved furrows in the arena floor, but they did not touch her. She flowed around him like water around stone. Biscuit launched from her shoulder. The honey badger did not attack the champion's face. He had learned too. He hit the back of the champion's knee, where the armor plates did not quite meet, and his teeth found the tendon that held the leg together. Destroyer of Worlds stumbled. Just a little. Just enough. Lily was there. She grabbed one of his fallen scales from the arena floor, sharp as a blade from where it had been knocked loose in previous fights. She drove it into the same joint that Biscuit had weakened. The champion screamed. He tried to grab her, but Biscuit was on his arm now, tearing at another joint. He tried to crush the honey badger, but Lily had already moved, already found another weakness, already struck again. They fought together. 2 bodies, 1 predator. The champion could not track them both. He could not defend against something that attacked from everywhere at once. He could not intimidate something that did not understand the concept of fear. It took 11 minutes. Destroyer of Worlds felt his knees, bleeding from a dozen wounds, his tendons severed, his armor torn. Lily stood before him with his own claw in her hand, the one she had pried loose during the fight. "Yield," she said. "Kill me," he gasped. "A warrior dies in battle." "No." Lily dropped the claw. "You live. You tell your empire what happened here. You tell them that humans do not surrender. We do not run. We do not give up. And we do not send our children to die." She turned and walked away. Biscuit climbed back on her shoulder, licking blood from his muzzle. The arena was silent. 1 million Vrathi watched a 14-year-old human spare their greatest champion. The Vrathi Emperor broadcast his response that night. His voice was different than it had been in previous declarations. There was something in it that his subjects had never heard before: uncertainty. "We were wrong about humans," he said. "We believed them to be prey that had learned to use tools. We believed their compassion was weakness. We believed their small size meant small spirits. We were wrong. They raised their young to kill gods. They bond with creatures that fear nothing and learn from them. They do not understand that they should lose, so they do not lose. The invasion is canceled. We will seek other terms with the Galactic Union. Lily watched the broadcast from her quarters. Biscuit was already asleep. He was tired. He was getting old. But he had done his job today. He had shown the galaxy what humans really were. The Hollow came from the darkness between galaxies. They had no homeworld that anyone knew of. They had no history that anyone could trace. They simply appeared, consumed everything in their path, and moved on. Entire civilizations had fallen to them. Entire species had been erased from existence. The predator races that had once terrorized the galaxy now fled before them like prey. Lily was 19 when the first Hollow ships crossed into Union space. She was a full diplomatic agent now, the only human that predator species would negotiate with. She had spent 5 years building relationships with the Kreth, the Venery, the Drekari, the Skull, and the Vrothi. She had turned enemies into allies. None of it mattered against the Hollow. The Union ordered evacuation. Every species that could flee was fleeing. The predators who had once mocked humans as soft and weak were running from something that made them feel like prey. The galaxy was dying, and no one knew how to stop it. Lily volunteered for the impossible mission. Someone had to meet with the Hollow, to buy time for the evacuation fleets. Someone had to face the nightmare that had never been stopped. Everyone knew it was suicide. Biscuit was old now, his muzzle completely gray, his movements slower than they used to be. But his eyes were still sharp. His teeth were still sharp. And when Lily put him in her pack for the journey to the Hollow flagship, he did not hesitate. He had never hesitated. Not once in his entire life. The Hollow ship was larger than any space station Lily had ever seen. It was not built from metal or plastic. It was grown, organic, alive in some way that defied analysis. The corridors inside pulsed with a rhythm like a heartbeat. The Hollow themselves were nightmares given form. They had no fixed shape, flowing and reforming constantly. They had too many eyes and too many mouths, and they smelled like the death of stars. They gathered around Lily when she entered their council chamber. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. She could not tell where one ended and another began. They studied her with a curiosity that was almost worse than hunger. "You come to us," they said. Their voice was a chorus of 1,000 screams. "Prey does not come to us. Prey runs and hides and dies." "I'm not prey," Lily said. "Everything is prey. It is the oldest law of existence. The strong consume the weak. We're the strongest. Therefore, all things are prey to us." Lily reached into her pack and lifted Biscuit out. He was smaller than he used to be, age having shrunk his frame. But he planted himself on her shoulder and hissed at the Hollow with the same fury he had shown to the Kreth hunters 11 years ago. "Do you know what this is?" Lily asked. The Hollow rippled. "A small creature. A companion. Why does it not fear us? Because it does not know how. His species evolved on a planet where everything was dangerous, where the smallest creatures had to fight the largest just to survive. He has attacked lions and cobras and hyenas and badgers twice his size. He has never once backed down from anything. This is admirable," the Hollow admitted, "but is still small. It cannot hurt us. Maybe not. But he taught me something. He taught me that fear is a choice. That size does not determine who wins a fight. That the creature who refuses to stop is the creature who survives." Lily stepped forward toward the mass of nightmares. "I am human. My species has spent 100,000 years learning from creatures like him. We have domesticated wolves and horses and hawks. We have studied predators and made their lessons our own. We do not run from things that hunt us. We hunt them back. You cannot hunt us. We have consumed galaxies. Have you? Or have you consumed prey that ran from you?" Lily smiled. "What happens when you meet something that does not run? What happens when you meet a species that bonds with creatures like Biscuit and raises every child to be fearless? What happens when you try to hunt a galaxy full of apex predators who do not understand that they should be afraid of you?" The Hollow were silent. They were thinking. Lily had seen this before, in the eyes of every predator species she had faced. The moment when they realized that she was not prey. "We scanned your homeworld," the Hollow finally said. "We found a planet of killers, a species that hunted its own predators to extinction. Children who sleep beside creatures that fight lions for amusement. Soldiers who charge into certain death without hesitation. Artists who paint pictures of war and call it beautiful. Yes, you are not prey. No, we never were. We just let other species believe we were, because it was easier, because we felt guilty about what we really are. The hollow rippled again. Something was passing through them, some kind of communication that Lily could not hear. We withdraw, they said finally. This galaxy is not worth the cost. You will spread. You will bond with more creatures like that one. You will teach your children to be fearless. In time, you will be more dangerous than we are. Probably, Lily agreed. We will send a warning to others of our kind. Earth is not prey. Earth is something that should not be disturbed. The hollow dissolved into the walls of their ship, and Lily was alone with Biscuit in the pulsing corridor. She held her old friend against her chest and felt his heart beating, strong despite his age. "We did it," she whispered. "We saved everyone." Biscuit licked her face once, then closed his eyes. He died peacefully in his sleep that night, aboard the shuttle taking Lily home. He had done his work. He had protected his human one last time. The galaxy was safe because a honey badger had taught a little girl that fear was optional. Lily buried him on Earth, in a garden where children played with their own companions. Wolves and cats and ferrets, and yes, honey badgers. Every human child now grew up with a partner, a teacher, a friend who showed them what it meant to be brave. She lived a long life. She had children and grandchildren. She told them stories about a small creature who feared nothing and changed the galaxy. And when her granddaughter asked why predator species feared such a small animal, Lily smiled and gave the answer she had known since she was 8 years old. They don't fear the badger. They fear what the badger teaches us. That size does not matter. That fear is a choice. And that humans chose a long time ago to stop being afraid.